F1 Sprint Race Live. Qatar Grand Prix 2025. Piastri triumphs. Norris holds steady in third. Live updates. Standings. Imagine the roar of engines, the thrill of the chase, and a championship on the line. But what if one bold move could flip everything? Dive into the heart-pounding action of the Qatar Grand Prix sprint race, where Oscar Piastri claimed victory, shaking up the title battle in ways that have fans buzzing. Keep reading to see how this dramatic twist sets the stage for tomorrow's showdown. Overview. Asterisk. Piastri takes the win. Russell secures second. Norris finishes third. Verstappen lands fourth. Listen live for the full audio. https://www.bbc.co.uk/sport/formula1/live/cdr6 ICANM 47GT ? Post =asset %. 3AF8C53F62-F9 4B-426-B622-CB76F549 E3B 7 #sign post. Asterisk. Qualifying kicks off at 1800 hours Greenwich Mean Time. Asterisk. Norris has a shot at clinching the title this weekend if everything falls into place for him. Asterisk. Points on the line. Understanding the sprint race format. https://www.bbc.co.uk/sport/formula1/articles/CD927W373 Asterisk. Join the conversation via the form below. Live updates. Lorraine McKenna. 1. Aston Martin climbs to 7th, published at 14:50 Greenwich Mean Time. Image source, Getty Images. For those new to Formula One, the Constructors' Championship tracks how teams perform across both drivers, and it's a fierce midfield scramble. Fernando Alonso dropped a few spots in the sprint, but his 2 points were just enough to propel Aston Martin ahead of Haas by a single point in that tight battle. Racing Bulls, 90. Aston Martin, 74. Haas, 73. Sauber, 68. 2. Norris maintains the edge in the title race, published at 14:47 Greenwich Mean Time. Image source, Getty Images. Let's break down what this sprint result means for the Drivers' Championship standings. It's crucial for newcomers to grasp how these points accumulate. Oscar Piastri's win narrowed Lando Norris's lead by 2 points, leaving the gap between these McLaren teammates at 22 points as we head into tomorrow's full race. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen trails Norris by 25 points and needs to outpace the Brit in Sunday's event to keep his title hopes alive. Think of it like a high-stakes game where every overtake matters. Lando Norris, McLaren, 396. Oscar Piastri, McLaren, 374. Max Verstappen, Red Bull, 371. 3. Piastri gave it his all, published at 14:44 Greenwich Mean Time. Mark Priestley, former F1 mechanic on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. Oscar Piastri left nothing on the track. For the rest, it was more about minimizing losses. This victory will skyrocket his confidence. But here's where it gets controversial. Could this shift the team dynamics at McLaren, favoring Piastri over Norris in future races? I suspect qualifying tomorrow will be a whole different ballgame. 4. Qatar Sprint race points scores, published at 14:41 Greenwich Mean Time. Oscar Piastri, McLaren, 8 points. George Russell, Mercedes, 7. Lando Norris, McLaren, 6. Max Verstappen, Red Bull, 5. Yuki Tsunoda, Red Bull, 4. Kimi Antonelli, Mercedes, 3. Fernando Alonso, Aston Martin, 2. Carlos Sainz, Williams, 1. 5. Penalty hits Antonelli, published at 14:38 Greenwich Mean Time. Kimi Antonelli couldn't dodge the steward's attention. The Italian newcomer faces a 5-second time penalty for going beyond track limits, keeping him in 6th while Yuki Tsunoda holds on to 5th. 6. Team Radio Buzz, Piastri, published at 14:36 Greenwich Mean Time. Engineer. Alright, checkered flags out. Great job, Oscar. Piastri. Absolutely, team. Solid work all around. The car felt fantastic. Let's build on this. 7. Checkered flag waves, published at 14:32 Greenwich Mean Time. McLaren's Oscar Piastri crosses the line first in the Qatar Grand Prix sprint. The Aussie nailed a clean start and dominated the abbreviated format without any real challenge. He's now just 22 points shy of Lando Norris as qualifying looms for Sunday's main event. George Russell takes second, Norris secures third, and Max Verstappen, with his Red Bull bouncing excitedly, climbs 2 spots to fourth. 8. The last lap published at 14:32 Greenwich Mean Time. Lap 19/19. Here we are at the final lap of the 2025 season's last sprint race, and Oscar Piastri is poised for his third straight sprint win in Qatar. This triumph will give the Australian a nice nudge closer to his McLaren teammate and championship frontrunner, Lando Norris. 9. Update published at 14:30 Greenwich Mean Time. Lap 18/19. Yuki Tsunoda has been shining this weekend, but that 5-second penalty might just knock him down a peg. If he ends up 5th, he'll slip to 6th behind Mercedes' Kimi Antonelli. 10. Update published at 14:29 Greenwich Mean Time. Mark Priestley, former F1 mechanic on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. The standout mover today is Kimi Antonelli. We watched him pass Fernando Alonso on the track. With Yuki Tsunoda's penalty, Antonelli will leapfrog another spot, making him the biggest climber on the grid. And this is the part most people miss: how a rookie savvy can disrupt the established order in just a few laps. 11. Update published at 14:29 Greenwich Mean Time. Lap 17/19. We're wrapping up what has been a fairly predictable sprint race, but Oscar Piastri locks in 8 points. Title-leading Lando Norris grabs 6, and Max Verstappen earns 5. Norris won't be crowned champion today, but he's well-positioned for Sunday if fortune smiles. 12. Update published at 14:27 Greenwich Mean Time. Lap 16/19. The fastest lap indicator has shifted from Oscar Piastri to Lance Stroll, thanks to the Canadian switching to soft tires. Over at Mercedes, Kimi Antonelli is on his last warning for track limits, holding 6th. 13. Get involved. Join the discussion published at 14:26 Greenwich Mean Time. It's tough to get pumped when overtaking seems impossible. Justin, is this even a race? Feels more like a high-speed convoy. Can't distinguish. AJ. 14. Update published at 14:26 Greenwich Mean Time. Lap 15/19. George Russell trails race leader Oscar Piastri by 2.1 seconds. But the Aussie is piling on the fast times in his McLaren. That's 8 points secured for Piastri, who has faced setbacks in his title ambitions lately. Image source, Getty Images. 15. Update published at 14:24 Greenwich Mean Time. Lap 14/19. Lance Stroll heads to the pits as Aston Martin opts for soft tires, giving him a quick run despite being well outside the points. Yuki Tsunoda sits in 5th, but after several track limit warnings, the Japanese driver receives a 5-second penalty. 16. Get involved. Join the discussion published at 14:23 Greenwich Mean Time. Seems Verstappen's Red Bull is lacking some zip today. Maybe they've adjusted the floor height? Helen. Image source, Getty Images. 17. Update published at 14:22 Greenwich Mean Time. Andrew Benson. http://www.bbc.co.uk/sport/correspondence/Andrew Benson. BBC F1 correspondent. Charles Leclerc was ahead of Liam Lawson, but he slid off, and Lawson overtook him while he was off track. Lawson wouldn't have held that spot anyway. 18. Antonelli passes Alonso published at 14:22 Greenwich Mean Time. Lap 13/19. Fernando Alonso has dropped further back, though he remains in the points, as Kimi Antonelli uses DRS for a smooth overtake on the seasoned 44-year-old from Aston Martin. 19. Update published at 14:21 Greenwich Mean Time. Lap December 19th. Racing Bulls instructed Liam Lawson to